This episode of Digital Photography Cafe is brought to you by Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool for your camera, and by DaisyGrip, for a child's smile for a photographer's camera.
Welcome to the Digital Photography Cafe. I'm Trevor Current, your digital marketing guy.
And I'm Joseph Christina, your professional photographer.
So grab a latte, pull up a chair, and join us as we chat about the art and business of photography.
So hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Last week we talked about the iPhone 5 for photographers, an iPhone security leak, along with the new full-frame Nikon D600 and Sony RX1. If you haven't listened to last week's show, I encourage you to do so. You can find it on iTunes, the popular Stitcher and TuneIn radio apps, or simply head over to the website, digitalphotographycafe.com, and listen online.
So Joe, we are back, episode 72. How are you doing, my friend?
Doing well. 72. We're getting up there in numbers.
Yes, we are.
Nice.
So you all dried up down there? You still swimming? What's happening?
No more swimming. We no longer need a truck. I can actually take my car out now. That's always nice. The only thing that we have down here is just a ton of humidity. It's so humid. I mean, it doesn't matter what the temperature is. The humidity is so great that you just walk outside and you're just like drenched, like if you just went into the shower.
Yeah, I know.
It's just nasty. It's
not
bad.
fun, man. So I didn't go get my iPhone 5 yet.
You didn't?
No,
All right.
I'm going to wait a little bit. I was thinking about braving the long lines at the Apple store.
Yeah.
I decided against it. I decided I would wait and go do it next week.
Yeah, I tell you what, my business guy over at Apple, yesterday I was over there. He's like, "Hey Joe, do you want me to hold one of the iPhone 5s for you, and you could just come and pick it up tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Nah, that's all right. I'll just wait probably a couple weeks or whatever." He looked at me like I had like 6 heads. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Right? I'm offering you an iPhone 5. I'm going to put it aside for you, but you don't want it. I'm like, whatever. I'll get it. Yeah. He was like, this guy's crazy. I don't get it.
Yeah. He was Everybody's waiting with bated breath to get theirs, and you're like, I'll get it whenever.
I know. I know I'll love it when I get it, but I'm just, I don't need to jump on it.
Yeah.
So anyways, Trev, we had a good listener question this week, right?
Yeah. So the question came in from Matt Ciccarelli. And he actually wrote a really nice email, a lot of great compliments about the show. He's a new listener, and he kind of just found the show, and he went down and downloaded our whole library, which is awesome. That's a lot of listening. That's a lot of listening.
Yeah, God, that's good. That's good. We love to hear the positive feedback anyway, especially from a new listener. That's great. We probably have 60, 70 plus hours worth of content on there. I don't know. We got a bunch.
That's a lot. There's a lot of content. Yeah. So anyway, so he said, "I'm an aspiring photographer currently working as a full-time mechanic. It's a good living, but not one I love. I recently bought a shiny new T3i 600D.
Nice.
It's about 1 month old. I love it. However, I do have trouble with back focus on one lens and front focus on another. I have been compensating by targeting elsewhere, of course, but it's never perfect. I searched online and found out Canon decided to leave that option out of this model. I emailed Canon, respectfully requesting a firmware update, and got a bot response. Go figure. I love my camera, and I certainly cannot afford to run out and buy another one anytime soon. What's a newbie to do?"
So this kind of comes right off our topic a couple of weeks ago when we spoke about autofocus and calibration and all of this stuff. So I mean, it's a really good topic, and I know that we get a ton of questions in here on a regular basis, but this one definitely stands out because I know it's not, I'm sure answering it, Matt will enjoy that we answered the question, but I think it's going to help a lot of other people too that might not kind of get how this whole thing works. So, I think, for starters, go pick up a lens calibration tool. Obviously, we have Focus Pyramid that is sponsoring us, so we would recommend them. $20 is cheap either way. But whoever you use, pick up a lens calibration tool and get in there and take a look at where your lens and body combination is focusing. Is it front focusing or is it back focusing? And by having one of these tools, you'll know by how much, which is the important factor, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it could be just a small bit and you really don't have to compensate as much, or it could be a lot.
Right.
And with one of those cameras, see, I'm kind of in the same boat. I have a T2i, and you know, obviously the predecessor to Matt's camera.
Right.
And you know, I love the camera. It's a great camera, and I actually have a focus pyramid, and I shot it and with my 85 millimeter, and my focus was pretty much right on with that. I was pleasantly surprised.
That's amazing, because that never happens.
No,
I mean,
no. But
I don't have a single.
But my 70 to 300 was not on. That was off quite a bit. So now I know I can't do anything about it. I can't make the micro adjustments that you can on some of the more, you know, prosumer or pro bodies.
Right.
But at least I know by how much. So when I am shooting a portrait or shooting something that, you know, the focus is critical, I may have to, again, like Matt said, focus elsewhere, or use one of the other techniques, like using a higher aperture. So it, you know, it increases the amount of depth of field, so it helps to eliminate that blurriness.
Right. Right.
You know, use a tripod. I mean, you can't always use a tripod, but you know, kind of use some other methods to help compensate for it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I do a lot of portraiture. I do branding portraiture. I do models and actors on a regular basis. And for me, you know, getting the eyes dead on is just huge. I mean, it's imperative. It's the difference between taking a shot that is a really good shot to a shot that becomes the cover of a magazine.
Right.
You know, these days, some of the covers are not as good as the way they used to be, where people were very anal retentive about it. But, you know,
what were they?
I know, right? A little bit anal about it.
There you go.
Yeah, but the thing is,
I was getting worried. I wasn't sure where you were going.
Yeah, well, but the thing is here is, you know, for me, most of my lenses are rear focusing. So
Right.
what happens is, you know, if you go ahead and aim on the eyes, then the back of their head is like perfectly clear, and that is not going to help anybody, right?
No.
So
Right.
what I would have to do is, before doing this calibration, I would aim at the tip of their nose, and now their eyelashes would be dead, you know, in focus. You know, but once you get into this lens calibration, now you can actually lock in that specific spot. So by how much it's out. But if you don't have it, like you said, at that point, you're basically having to compensate, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, you can always try and send your lenses and your body back to the manufacturer for calibration. Right. I mean, they'll do that, but they won't necessarily calibrate your lens with your body. They will set the lens back to the factory standard, the factory setting, and they'll set your body to the factory setting. But that doesn't mean that the two together are going to deliver that sharp focus.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, and most likely it won't.
Yeah.
Because, you know, put it this way, the manufacturers came out with this autofocus lens calibration, this custom calibration, for a reason. They didn't just come up with it just, you know, for their health. They did it because they know that there's a variance between the lens body and the lens, and that variance is what you have to compensate for. So every time you snap on another lens, there's going to be that slight variance, and it's going to be out of focus. So even if you sent in your body and your lens, or your body and two lenses, you know, in your mind, you'd say, oh, they're going to calibrate it together. I don't believe that's the case.
I don't think they do it that way.
I think what they do is they bring your camera body into factory spec, and then they bring your lens into factory spec also, and that is as far as they go. And the reason being is if they did calibrate for that variance between lens X and the body, when you go snap on lens Y, you might be out in the opposite direction. So now that other lens is even worse than it was before. So, you know, by giving,
and now your lens is no longer at the factory settings. Your body is no longer at the factory settings, and that throws too many variables into the works.
Yeah, they won't do that.
No. So, and two, like the T3i is a crop sensor. So if you're using an EF lens on it, I mean, obviously that lens was intended initially for full frame cameras. You know, they fit the crop sensor and they work just fine, but that could be part of the reason why maybe it's out a little bit more. So, I mean, that's always something to take into account too. Really, the best way to do it is like you said, with the micro adjustments on bodies that allow it. Right. Unfortunately, on the T3i, the T2i that I have, and you know, what, the Nikon 90, I think, or whatever. Right. These bodies just don't allow you to do that. So you really are kind of out of luck. It really is more of coming up with alternate methods of getting that sharp focus.
Yeah, we always talk about Canon, but it's the same thing, like you said, with you know, like a D90 in comparison to right. the D800. Well, the D800 is going to allow you to do micro adjustments, where the D90, I don't believe, does. It's the same thing. It's the difference between a consumer, you know, grade camera, a prosumer, and a pro camera. You know, the prosumer right. and the pros, they're going to give you this ability. Whereas the regular consumer base, they're not. They have to leave something out, because if not, you know, you wouldn't buy.
Nobody would buy the pro cameras.
Right. They have to give. Yep. They have to do. So, anyways, you know, so let's say if you do this lens calibration, the beauty of it, and in case you guys don't know how this works, basically, you know, you set up a target, you shoot that target, one of these lens calibration tools, and then you dial in that specific lens to either positive or negative off that dead center 0. So one lens might be like -7, the other lens might be +12, and it locks it in to right. the camera body. So every time you snap on camera X, it goes, oh, camera X is connected. Let's go ahead and change the autofocus point to this. And right. then you go snap on camera lens Y, and it does the same thing. It looks up lens Y, and then it readjusts that. So every time you snap on a new lens, the camera body calibrates itself to that lens, and to, let's say, take into account the variance that occurs between connecting the two. So it works out great. I mean, I would say, you know, do it, I would say, as often as maybe, let's say, once a month, because, you know, things, you know, lenses, they're going in and out, you know, they're right. continuously focusing. Right, sure. Things get tired, you know?
Yeah, they get tired. They, you know, slip a gear or something sure. at some point. There's a little resistance on the lens when you're trying to do your autofocusing. I mean, things happen. It's a mechanical mechanism. Right. And, you know, just like a car or anything else, you know, mechanics break down over time. So, right. you know, by adjusting it on a consistent basis, or at least, you know, if you've got a big gig coming up, you know, calibrate them before you go shoot. You know, that way you know that you're right on.
Exactly. And that is important. So if something is coming up that is big, I mean, it's one thing if you're a product photographer and you're not using, you know, your autofocus, you're dialing in.
Focusing anyway, sure.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. But if right. you're going to shoot a wedding and you got, you know, let's say 10 people in front of you, and you're focusing on the center person's face, and this, let's say this specific lens to body combination is rear focusing, well, chances are when you focus on their face, what's going to be nice and clear is the back of their head. And chances are you're not going to be seeing the back of their head anyways. So, right. you know, dialing that in before the wedding or before a model shoot or whatever just makes life less miserable after the fact, because we all know, I mean, you know, you get something that's tack sharp. Later on, if you want to go and make it blurry, okay, that's fine. But going the other way, it just doesn't work out very well, you know?
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't work as well.
No. So anyways, listen, before we go any further, let's go ahead and take a quick break and hear from one of our sponsors.
Have you ever tried to photograph a child who was on the move and wouldn't settle down? A child who just wouldn't give your camera the time of day no matter what tricks you tried? If so, we have some great news for you. Introducing the DaisyGrip, your go-to tool for capturing a child's smile.
Just think of the DaisyGrip as your third hand. Just place it into your camera's hot shoe, insert the child's favorite toy or puppet, and let the smiles begin. Imagine the storytelling magic that you'll have at your disposal with a ferocious lion or a friendly monster sitting on top of your camera. For the ultimate attention getter, place your smartphone into the DaisyGrip and play the child's favorite cartoon.
With the addition of a DaisyGrip bracket, you can free up your hot shoe for a flash or wireless transmitter.
Let DaisyGrip put the space above your lens to work for you. Make this indispensable tool your new best friend. Head over to daisygrip.com/DPC to get the listener discount.
The DaisyGrip, for a child's smile, for a photographer's camera.
So, one of the things that, we always trying to find topics to speak about each week. And this week, something occurred during one of my shoots here in the studio, and I kind of want to bring it up. And I think it's something that I think everyone can use, photographer and, non-photographer, someone that might be just any type of creative. And it was kind of an interesting conversation that I had with my client that, some people have these conversations and some people don't. And I think it's kind of valuable, the idea of asking the client, not only how did they find you, because that's a very, common thing to ask, but more importantly, or I'd say equally as important, is why they chose you over your competitors, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you want to know how. Tracking how people found you really is critical to your marketing plan. You don't want to waste time or money promoting your business in places that don't get results.
Right.
So by asking them, how did they find you? Oh, I saw an ad in the paper or in the Yellow Pages, or I found you through Google or whatever. I found your website. I mean, that really is important.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you do ask them, actually write this down, because I think all too often we say, oh yeah, we'll remember. And the bottom line is we don't remember.
You don't remember.
That's just it. We don't remember. You have a lot of stuff going on. And, but if you, make it a point to always ask and always write down the information, even if you don't associate it with somebody, and you just write down the information, let's say in a table, and you constantly have this, how and why, how and why, how and why. Eventually you're going to get an idea, kind of like an overall picture of what you're doing right and maybe what you could possibly improve on, right?
Yep. No, that's exactly right. I mean, me personally, I like creating a spreadsheet or something. I use, Apple's iWork, so I use their numbers program, and I use that a lot. I mean, I love my spreadsheet. So, what I'll do is every time I get a new client, I put all their information into a spreadsheet, and I just create columns. And a lot of times, I'll ask them, how'd you hear about me? A lot of times I know if it came in as a referral or something like that. If it's a cold call, somebody right off the street, then of course I ask them. But that's what I do. I make a column and I just kind of make a note in there, and just say, oh, that it was a referred by so-and-so. Right. And that's it. If it is a referral, you definitely want to be sure to ask who referred you. And if they are an existing client or somebody that you've recently shot or something like that, maybe drop them a little email, a little note thanking them. Hey, so-and-so contacted me based on your referral. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That goes a long way for the customer relations.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, by actually thanking someone for giving you that referral. A lot of us forget to do that. I've done it many times in the past, which, all too often. And we kind of have been fixing that lately. But, actually saying thank you and saying, I see that you referred me. Thank you so much for doing so. And, keep them in a list of people that have referred you in the past. Right. And then maybe,
customer appreciation list or something.
Yeah. So maybe at the end of the year, you send them a little holiday package, or you send them even just a card, once again, thanking them. Or maybe you have some kind of special offer that's going out there. Whereas normally, let's say you do something for $250 and all of these people that have referred you in the past, maybe you do a half price thing or something, just as a way for you to say thank you for their referral, but without, kind of giving something just for the referral, because that's one thing that I do not do and I will never do, is kind of give a fee, like a finder's fee.
Financial compensation for a referral. Honestly, there's no reason to, because if a previous customer didn't think you were great, then they really shouldn't be referring you anyway. And if they're only referring you because they're going to get a little kickback, I don't know. Everybody has different business practices. I mean, that's not really how I want to get business.
Right. And it reduces the credibility too. So you just don't want to do that. I'm definitely not a fan of that at all. So, I think it's a good idea to have that how, but for me, what's even more important, is the why. And, this kind of came up, the person that I just shot, I actually just spent the little extra time with them, and we had a nice long conversation, and the why turned into something really amazing. And that's kind of why I wanted to kind of bring it up here. And, you know, we really kind of forget to ask why, but then also to review why. And once again, it's why they picked you over the competition. You know, was it price? Was it, you're just a cheaper guy, or was it your work, or was it, a friend said so, or, what is the why? And what I found with this person, what their, let's just say, things that really stuck out that hired me instead of the next person, is when they went to the website, they really liked the website. Number one, it loaded quick. They didn't get to a page and it's like loading. You know, they said that they just left a lot of people's pages that were like that. It wasn't Flash, so they were able to do it on their I think it was an iPad. She said there wasn't like music popping up and then blasting her, and the
dreaded music,
and I highlight the photograph. She said that, I really like when I go to a photographer's site and they are showing me photographs. I don't want to read words. I want less words and more pictures. I'm not there to read all of their nonsense about, who they just shot with and the wedding and the location and all this, all this chit chat. I really wanted to see the person's work. And finally, which kind of was interesting, was education. They really took into consideration that I actually went to school for what I'm doing. I went to school for commercial art and advertising design. I was the person that went and spent, $30,000-$40,000 in education to be able to get where I am. I didn't just pick up a camera and just start shooting. And this person really appreciated that. So I think that is really important. If you have education in this type of field, put it out there. Let people know. Put it on
your about page.
Absolutely. It's very important.
I agree. You don't have to be formally trained to make amazing photos.
Right.
We all know that. There's people making amazing photos with iPhones. I mean, using point and shoot cameras, using old Holga cameras. You don't have to be formally trained, but it's just like going for a job. The more qualifications you have, the more education that you have on your resume, the more appealing of a candidate you make. So by having your education listed on your website, it can only help you. It's not going to hurt you. If you don't have the education, maybe you didn't go and get a degree in, your bachelor's of fine art, maybe you never went to school at all for photography. It's not the end of the world. It's not that you can't get business. It's not that you're not a great photographer. But education does help. And if you have it, I would definitely list it.
Yeah, absolutely. Matter of fact, this is one of the things that I've stressed to my wife for the last year. Is she's an MUA. So she's the person that you would go to bring into the studio to go and do hair and makeup, right? But the difference is, she didn't get her training by going into, let's say, Mac and working behind the counter and learning how to do some, application of makeup, or she didn't go into the mall, into, one of the lines and learn like that. She's actually a licensed cosmetologist. So she has full understanding and grasp of not only hair and makeup, but the difference between a licensed cosmetologist, someone that gets, their degree and they're certified by a board and they take, continued education every year. What this means is not only they're good at what they're doing, they're up to date at what they're doing, but also, which is really important for that type of thing, is hygiene.
Oh, yeah.
They know anytime, anytime that there's some type of disease that might be out, or if there's methods of applying makeup properly in a safe and sanitary way. I can't tell you how many makeup artists I've seen over the many years, go and pull out a palette of makeup and then just start applying makeup onto multiple girls lined up and not cleaning anything, nothing, all the same makeup right across the row.
Face makeup, I don't know, maybe that's one thing, but lipstick or something,
or eyeliner is even worse.
It's not like soap, you can use a bar. Multiple people can use a bar of soap. It's self-cleaning, but
it's
lipstick is not,
No, it's not. I mean, you can end up with,
Let me go over this herpes with my lipstick.
Hep B, Hep C, conjunctivitis, pink eye, whatever, very easily. And these are the things that, people don't think about. But now that she's kind of been on that bandwagon that, listen, I'm a licensed cosmetologist, and what I'm doing is not only can I do the application in the hair great, but I'm going to make sure hygienically it's done well too. And
I don't get you sick and diseased.
Yeah, you're not going to end up with the funk. But so, I kind of digress.
Well, at least we don't have to worry about that as photographers.
Yeah, I don't know. So we went from
where my lens has been.
Yeah. Definitely digress. But anyways, the bottom line is if you have some type of degree, some type of education, you want to list it, you want to put it out there, because people, when the little things that you don't think that is important might be important to that person that's looking at just a myriad of photographers, you know, and they're looking at all these people. That one thing that you have over the next guy might decide the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about the websites all the time and how that is such a critical factor in your business, because everybody ends up at some point on your website, no matter how they found you, whether it be Yellow Pages, whether it be an ad, a flyer, a business card, whatever, they end up on your website, and that is your first impression.
Right.
It needs to be a good impression. It needs to leave a lasting impression, and a good lasting impression, not one, oh my God.
Right.
I blasted my speakers out with their autoplay music, and, oh God, I couldn't load it. It took forever, and that's the problem with a lot of these, hammered down shared hosting accounts where they've got a million, websites on one server.
It's funny,
so
you know what?
Painfully slow.
That is a statistical fact. If someone goes to your website and they're not seeing what they need to see in X number of seconds, they're gone.
They're gone.
They are only, they are there for seconds. You have seconds to captivate them. That's it.
Right.
Very short period of time. And I think, if people look at their website and think of it as Twitter, where you have 140 characters, think about it as you have, let's say 14 seconds. And actually look at it in that type of term, you'll see people starting, I would make these sites more Apple-esque, let's say, very minimalistic and pure and to the point.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, like your client said, they don't need all the words. We always talk about blogging and how important blogging is.
Right, and SEO and
right, that's exactly right. It's important for SEO, for search engine optimization. It's important to provide information that prospects who want to investigate you more and learn more about you and what you do and see more real life examples of your work, they're the people that like to read the blog. They like the articles where you're talking about a different facility maybe that you shot at, and it's kind of like a review of the facility. They like that information. That stuff is fantastic for SEO, but up front, first and foremost, should be your photography.
Right. I would say, the new websites, the new photographer websites out there, I think they really are going to start migrating into this type of mental. And I think that the blog, I hope so. The blog.
We've been preaching it for a year and a half.
We're just going to keep on preaching because if someone's listening. Send us an email. Get onto Twitter. Go ahead and throw us a tweet. Let us know if you're listening. But anyways, the idea of, your blog's got to be there, but hide it. Don't make your blog the major factor of your site if that's what you're trying to sell yourself. Leave it unto a side. Maybe you have to push a button that says blog to get there. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Google is going to find the thing anyways. They're going to find it. They're going to be spidering the whole thing. Just don't make that so upfront, because the people that are coming to you as a photographer for photography, they're looking for photos. That's it. They don't want to read all this stuff. The other thing is when you are writing your blog, make sure that, just like you were saying, write about the venue. Don't write about this new technique that you got. Remember, you're writing to the clients that you're trying to obtain. You're not writing to your peers unless you're doing training of some kind,
Right. Well, and that's it. I mean, you and I, we on Digital Photography Cafe and, of course, me on Current Photographer, I mean, we are creating content for other photographers. So that's our thing for that. But photography websites, creative websites, things like that need to be geared towards the client. And you know, a lot of the, you know, behind the scenes, inside, you know, baseball type stuff, they don't need to know about, they don't want to know about, they don't care to know about. And it's just more information to kind of get in the way of your images.
Right, right. No, absolutely, absolutely.
So, I mean, I know a lot of people can get kind of, you know, like, you know, oh, I don't really want to ask them the questions. You know, I don't want to come right out and, you know, and ask them, put them on the spot or whatever. You know, some people feel really uncomfortable about that. Right. And, you know, the fact of the matter is you just got to do it. And most of the time, your customers will be happy to tell you. They're going to feel honored even that you're asking for their opinion.
Absolutely.
So, you know, you can't be afraid to do it. You just have to ask them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, do a poll, you know. Let them take a survey after, you know, when you send them their proofs, let them do a survey, you know, and maybe make it so that it's completely a blind survey or whatever. You know, whatever you do, but the bottom line is you want to know, you know, once again, you know, why they chose you, right? And of course, how did they find you? Because it's going to affect how you advertise in the future, how you create your website, or how you, let's say, fix your website.
Sure.
You know, moving forward.
Well, and then the survey after the fact. You know, so how did I do? Was the work satisfactory? You know, did you enjoy the experience? You know, that's where, you know, either asking them directly or asking for them to take an anonymous survey. For the honest answers, because, you know, if they just did work with you, they're not going to go in there and necessarily, you know, just answer anything on the surveys or completely bash you on the survey unless you really were that bad. Most likely, if somebody's going to take the survey at that point, they're probably going to give you some pretty honest answers, some honest critique, and that is information you can use to better your business.
Right, right. Well, I hope this little conversation is something that you guys could use to, once again, better your business and maybe better your, let's say, your web presence, because we know the web presence is everything. That is the center of your world. That is where everyone should be being led to. And that includes your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your Twitter. Everything should go back to the center of your universe, which is your website. Make it the best that it can be. So anyways, listen, before we go any further, let's go to hear from one of our sponsors.
Are you frustrated with slightly out of focus images when you know your autofocus spot was dead on? It's simply not your fault. From manufacturer to manufacturer, and even lens copy to lens copy, there are slight variances to the exact spot where light is being focused onto the sensor. Finally, there's a product that allows you to compensate for those variances and make sharper images immediately. Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool, is an absolute must for every photographer. If you want to make the sharpest images possible, then you need to take control over your camera's focusing system. With the Focus Pyramid, you can calibrate all of your lenses on your lunch break. The Focus Pyramid makes lens calibration quick and easy at an affordable price. So give your lenses a new lease on life and take your photography to the next level. Head over to focuspyramid.com/DPC and get an additional 10% off just for being a show listener. So, Joe, we are almost ready for Photo Plus Expo, man.
I'm excited.
I am
New York City
too.
Oh my God.
New York City, October 24th to the 27th. We'll be there at the trade show from the 25th to the 27th. I'm really looking forward to that. And we're getting everything lined up. We're getting our interviews scheduled with some great companies and some photographers. We're getting the prizes together for these huge giveaways we're going to do. We always end up with $1,000, $2,000 worth of some amazing prizes from our sponsors. So we're getting those all together. And we kind of talked last week about our sponsorship opportunities. Well, the blog post is up online with all of the information. We encourage anybody who is looking to reach the photo community, if you're a photographer that runs, workshops, or maybe you sell a product or have a service that to the photography community. Maybe you just want to get your name out as an up-and-coming emerging pro within the community, and you just kind of want the opportunity to spread your name. Definitely go check out those opportunities. We really have something to meet every budget. from, a very basic, banner ad and some links on the site to a full-blown educational segment. So it really, we really have some great stuff lined up. So definitely go check it out. It's right at the top of the site. You can't miss it. Yeah. And if you have a photography website that, is not just about your photos, maybe it's a blog or what have you, and you're driving traffic there, we're looking for partners in this upcoming event. And we're going to have a little bit more information about that coming out next week. So keep your eye on Twitter and stuff. You'll see things there. We'll talk about it more in the show on next week's show. But definitely keep your eye out. Yeah, we're looking to connect with some other photography websites to basically kind of help spread the word about what we're doing, and also to give you some really great benit.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be pumping. They'll basically be syndicates, and we'll be pumping all of this content to them from the show, from NYC. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And so it's great content for your site. Plus, you'll also be able to get a lot of other really good benefits. So definitely keep an eye out for that. We encourage everybody to do it. We're not limiting to anybody. It's free for everyone to do. So, just keep an eye out.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exciting. I cannot wait.
Yeah, New York is always fun. I mean, it's the greatest city in the world. That's what they always say, right? So much to do there. Unfortunately, we're always so busy we don't get to do as much. But.
I know. Sometimes it's all we see is the landing strip, and then a cab, and then the hotel, and then Javits.
Yeah. Last year we had snow.
This year it's not going to happen. We're going to go to the different, parties, and we're going to be kind of in the thick of things, and we'll do some reporting from out there, out and about, so to speak. Probably hit up the tweet ups and all the rest of the stuff, so that everyone can kind of watch or live vicariously through, our interaction during the entire show. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and all the 40, 50, 60,000 people that are out there that's just in our Twitter sphere will be able to see all of our stuff continuously tweeted out, and a lot of live content, and then we'll be, of course, putting it online for posterity.
That's right.
So it'll be up there forever, so to speak. So
that's right. Exactly. So anyway, let's roll on out of here, and thanks again, everybody, for listening to the show. If you're not subscribed in iTunes or via RSS, we definitely encourage you to head over there and get the show delivered to your computer automatically and for free. And Joe, we are still hovering at that number 10 area for our video, number 8 for audio.
That's awesome.
Really kicking.
That's crazy, right? Top 10.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's thousands of podcasts up there on iTunes, and for us to be ranking that high, I'm really pleased.
We gotta just thank everyone. I mean, we thank everyone every week, but it's just it's an honor.
Sure.
I mean, it's just amazing.
I'm gonna do it without you guys.
No, I mean, all the people that are listening, they put in those positive reviews, and they're constantly kind of talking back and forth through Twitter, through the website, here, there, and elsewhere. It's just great. We really appreciate it. It makes us we know that people are out there listening, and we're not talking to ourselves every week, right?
Yeah, I know. I talk to you enough.
Yeah. I hate you.
All right, man. Let's get out of here. So if people want to connect with you, how should they reach you?
They can find me on Twitter at Joseph Christina, and that's Christina without an H.
Excellent. And you can connect with me at Trevor Current.
Awesome. That is show 72 in the can. Amazing. We're getting up there.
I know.
So anyways, Trev, great show as always. If you guys have any questions or topics that you would like discussed on next week's show, send us a message through our website, digitalphotographycafe.com, or you can connect with us on Twitter. We love Twitter, at DPhotoCafe. If you're listening on the go, fear not. Everything that we covered during this week's show can easily be found in our show notes at our website. Once again, keep your questions and comments coming, and we'll talk to you next week.